Hey YouTube, Radio Night here. I wanted to actually go ahead and talk about class systems in video games today, because you know, I've noticed something. Even in games where there isn't technically a class system, we end up finding ways of basically replicating classes. Because I've been watching some videos on Skyrim, you know, for maybe some tips, you know, maybe some mechanics that aren't explained in game that I don't know about. And I've seen quite a few videos of people saying, oh, well, here's this type of build, here's that type of build, you know, and they're making a backstory for it for role players. You know, it's pretty awesome. But I want to actually go ahead and talk about kind of the history of the class-based system. Now, with video games, I'm not sure which video game was the first one to come out with the class-based system, but for the longest time, we've had the, you know, rogue style class, the tank class, and then the magic caster class. You know, that was basically what it was before. And then it ended up getting a little more complex as time went. You know, the magic caster class got separated into healing class and magic damage. You know, like, you know, white mage, black mage type of thing. And then the rogue class ended up getting basically split into kind of a hunter or ranged DPS class, and then, you know, the quick hitting in and out, you know, low armor but high damage output rogue that we know today. And then when it came to the tank class, well, it kind of just stayed the same. You know, tanks haven't really changed too much. You know, I mean, a lot of it was, you know, just tank and spank. You know, I mean, that's basically what it was. But now, as we've progressed even farther in games and technologies allowed us to put more into games, you know, you have tanks that sub as healers. You know, so basically paladins. You have tanks that are meant for DPS instead of actually tanking. You know, either that or they keep the aggro by causing high DPS as opposed to using abilities that just generate aggro. You know, basically them, you know, pulling down their pants and slapping their ass at the enemy. But instead of them doing that, you know, they're running up and just slapping the enemy with their hand and then running around, you know, just making making themselves into an annoyance. And when you, sorry about that, I noticed that the lights were on my truck, so I needed to go ahead and turn those off. But now we're starting to see more complex roles. I mean, take a look at Overwatch. You know, you have your shield type characters, you have your damage dealing characters, and then you also have the healing character, you know. But the thing is people tend to try to find their own niche in each of these games. And I want to ask, what do you guys think? Do you think that the class system has done more good for video gaming, or do you think it's actually stagnated it? Because there's no arguing against, you know, the class-based system kind of promoting a cookie-cutter play style. Whereas if you have a video game where you have no aim for your character, you can easily fuck it up, you know? So it's all like, well, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, go ahead and, you know, take a look at Bloodborne, you know? You had the choice of basically making it so your character was either more magic-focused, if you wanted to go ahead and do that, which you weren't going to get anything really good until later on in the game. But then you would be overpowered as shit if you basically focused into magic, and you were going to have, you know, pretty wide range and some pretty devastating abilities. Or you could sit there and make your character a little bit more tanky and make them physically based, which is what I did. I'm all like, I'm not playing Bloodborne to sit there and stand back in the back and then run away waiting for my magic to regenerate. But, yeah, I mean, we've been seeing a lot more of the, you know, all right, we'll allow you to go ahead and do this. But then we've also seen games that have had that kind of cookie cutter, but, you know, had the, all right, well, you can go ahead and play this character in a slightly alternative way, you know, depending on how you build your character and customize it. And then all of a sudden they lock down and all of a sudden all that customizability goes away. And it's all like, no, if you want your character to be effective in any way, shape, or form, you have to go with this set of skills. You have to do this shot rotation or this skill rotation, or you have to play this way. You have to have this group of people. And ew, you know, it's all like, I hate seeing games devolve. And I've also noticed that games where you've actually been able to go ahead and really customize your character, like some people will sit there and think Pokemon, that's actually customization light. You know, that's the bare minimum amount of customization, in my opinion, is Pokemon. You know, Pokemon's that baseline. A lot of people are like, oh, Pokemon's excellent. You know, look at how long it's been around. Look at, all right, cool. Yeah, they've been doing something right. But they also haven't really done a whole lot of new stuff. Have they introduced some new mechanics? Yes, they have. Have they introduced more customization? That's arguable. And I mean, this is kind of a video on, you know, customization ability in video games, as well as the class-based system, because you can't talk about one without the other. And again, I'm going to bring up my favorite game of all time, Final Fantasy XI. Now, with Final Fantasy XI, if you watched any of my previous videos on it, you'll know that I absolutely loved the Dancer because of its versatility, because it could be used in such weird ways with other classes to go ahead and create something very unique, something that could match any playstyle. I wish more games had something like that in there, because the thing is the Dancer wasn't overpowered. You know, it was definitely possible for a Dancer to screw up and die, but if you knew how to play your character, just like if you know how to play any other character, there's some pretty awesome things that you can do. But the thing is with the Dancer, it played well with pretty much every other class. There were very few classes where the Dancer absolutely was worthless. Basically, the class that I honestly think it did not really work with would be Ninja. But it worked fantastic with Samurai. It worked fantastic with Dragoon. It worked fantastic with Paladin. In fact, if you played the Paladin right, you had the right gear, and you used the right abilities at the right times, you could go ahead and actually become overpowered with the Paladin. I don't think that anyone would argue that, you know, a Dancer in and of itself is overpowered. Sorry about that jump cut. I was rolling a cigarette and I figured you guys didn't want to listen to that bullshit. But yeah, no one would argue that the Dancer in and of itself was overpowered. Did it have some powerful abilities? Yes, but it sacrificed armor capability, in all honesty, to go ahead and have those powerful effects. Now, of course, if you were using a Dancer as a sub, then, you know, you're not going to have those super powerful high-level abilities, but you're still going to have those very useful utility abilities from midway through the levels. And I don't really see that with other games. I mean, I don't really expect it with first-person shooters. I mean, first-person shooters, it's definitely nice to, have, all right, this is the sniper class. All right, this is the medic class. This is the assault class. But don't sit there and say, oh, well, the medic class can't resurrect people, can't, use shock pads and that sort of thing, like what happened with Battlefield. Don't do that. That's one of those things. It's all like, keep those abilities there. Like the assault class, it makes sense for it to be able to throw ammo to people. All right, fine, makes sense. The medic class, go ahead and have it where, they can go ahead and throw down health packs, where they can go ahead and, get, help people who've been downed. Go ahead and have that. And I don't mind them having light machine guns, because the thing is they need that protection, because who's the number one target on the battlefield in those games? Let's be honest. It's either going to be snipers or it's going to be the healers. In fact, I actually prioritize the healers over the snipers, because if I can take out the healers, then I can go ahead and work on the sniper and actually whittle down the enemy as well. Keep them basically having to go into those respawns. And during that time, now the sniper has less and less and less distractions to take advantage of. But that's just me. Some people call me an asshole for going after the medic. I'm all like, no, this motherfucker is making my life a living fucking hell. Of course I'm going to go after the medic, especially if I'm playing as a sniper. Because the thing is if I down someone, I want them to have to go through that whole reload time. I want them to have to go through the respawn. I don't want this medic popping them up and then them now knowing exactly where I am because they just watched my bullet fly from the tip of my gun straight through their eyeball. So of course I'm going to go after the medic. But one class that I've never really seen too much of a use for is like an engineer class. Because now if the engineer could go ahead and maybe upgrade stuff and that sort of thing, all right, fine, that would be pretty cool. Maybe if they had extra proficiency when they were in vehicles, all right, cool. But no, they can repair vehicles. Well, the thing is how often does a vehicle just get damaged and not destroyed? How often is it someone hops into a vehicle, goes ahead and starts using the vehicle get most of the way damaged, and then the enemy not finish it off? Doesn't really do too much for you there. So, like, as far as that goes, I think engineer classes have always been underpowered. But one thing that I want to see kind of come back is mech games. And I'm not talking about, mech games where it's all like, oh, here's this mech, it costs this much to buy, go ahead and buy it, and there you go, you got what's on the tin. No, I'm talking about mech games that actually allow you to customize your mech, actually basically build it from the ground up. Decide on what abilities, what limitations you want, decide on that trade-off. I would love to see another mech game like that. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are chomping at the bit for it, and for some odd reason, these companies aren't making it. And that saddens me. That really does sadden me, because there is so much untapped potential there. I mean, mech games were on the rise, and then all of a sudden just poof, gone into the aether. And so, I mean, especially when you go ahead, and you can definitely tell that mechs actually, people like that sort of shit. I mean, hell, look at, what is it? It's the one with parkour and all that, I can't even remember the name of it right now. But it looked kind of cool because it did have mechs, but the reason why it didn't really capture my attention was because you can't customize those mechs. And so I'm all like, you're now defeating the purpose of a mech game. Mech games, now people are all like, look, there has to be a minimum level of customizability before I will even try this game. Now, I'm not saying every mech game has to be like Chrome Hounds, where you literally build your mech from scratch. You know, where you're all like, all right, I have these parts, I'm going to fit them together this way, let's see how it works. No, I'm not saying that. But, I mean, you've got a lot of indie games that have kind of gone ahead and done that. I mean, go ahead and look at StarMade. StarMade's one of those things. There's one where it's a game based off of, you know, making these weird contraptions that, you know, will move and that sort of thing. And it has a realistic physics engine, so if you fuck up on it, you know, you're going to end up just, like, either flopping over onto your side or whatever. And then you've also got stuff like, it's Robo something. Again, can't think of the name, because it wasn't executed in the best way, but there was customization. You were basically building it up in block form. And so when you go through and you do that, you allow your people that are playing to explore the limits of your game. And that's a pretty cool thing, especially when you give them some, you know, extremely high limits. I mean, obviously balance certain things. You know, don't sit there and make it to where the sniper rifle is going to go through every bit of armor that someone has in one shot, no matter how much armor they have. Have it to where they fear those high armor targets. And yeah, they're going to take pot shots at them because, yeah, they're going to cause a lot of damage to the armor. But have it to where if they don't have the backup, that armor mech can just turn toward them and just start going off. I mean, yeah, have flying mechs, but have it where it's all like, look, you lose your flying mechanism, you're gone. Have those checks and balances, to be sure, but don't be afraid. Really? God, what's the point in having a truck if you're going to let it get to that bad of a state? Speaking of customization. But, no, I want to know what people think. You know, it's all like, do you want to see more mech games? Have you ever even tried a mech game? And if not, why haven't you? Like, is there something about it that you're opposed to, or is it just one of those things that you've never paid attention to because you got all these other games? Go ahead, let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear people's opinion on this. And I'm sorry that some of the comments, for some odd reason, aren't coming through. They're not popping up in my maybe spam thing or anything like that. And I'm checking that regularly. I'm seeing people make comments on my videos, and then when I go to my videos, for some odd reason, the comments aren't there. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's some update to YouTube, or maybe someone screwed up in settings. I don't know. But for some odd reason, some people, their comments just aren't showing up on some of my latest videos. So, if you make a comment and then you see it not there, I didn't delete your comment. I am not deleting any comments currently. I haven't seen any issues in the comment section. My comment section is actually pretty dead. So, but just letting you know there, you know, I'm not deleting comments. I'm not ignoring people. But, yeah, go ahead and let me know. And in a class-based system, what do you consider an adequate amount of customization? Do you think that this cookie-cutter thing is okay in some games, maybe not in others? Or do you think that people should have a little bit more freedom when they're going ahead and playing these games? Go ahead and let me know. I would love to hear from you. So have a nice day. Keep on gaming, and I'll talk to you all later.